The scream came before the crash. A chair scraped hard against the floor, then a hand shoved her shoulder, and she stumbled into the table. Glass tipped, liquid flew, and the plate slipped from her fingers. It hit the ground and shattered so loudly that the whole restaurant went silent. The girl froze, breath stuck, heart slamming. She did not need to look up to know who stood behind her. "Are you blind?" the owner's daughter said. Her voice cut through the room. "Or is this how you people work?" The girl bent down at once, hands trembling as she reached for the broken pieces. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I'll clean it." "I'm sorry. Don't touch it yet." The daughter stepped closer. "Look at everyone first. Let them see what incompetence looks like." The girl lifted her eyes. Dozens of faces stared back. Some curious, some amused, some uncomfortable, none willing to help. Her chest burned. She swallowed and spoke again. "I said I'm sorry." "You always say that," the daughter replied. "Do you even understand what you break? Or do you just smile and pretend?" Before the girl could answer, a hand appeared between them. Calm. Steady. Male. "That's enough," the owner's son said. The room held its breath. The daughter turned slowly, eyes wide with shock, then narrowed with rage. "Stay out of this." "She apologized," he said. "You pushed her. So now you defend the help?" "She's a person." That was when the owner walked in. No one announced him. No one needed to. Chairs straightened. Voices dropped. The owner's gaze moved across the room, landing on the shattered plate, then on his daughter, then on his son, and finally on the girl kneeling on the floor. His eyes were empty. Measuring. "Clean it," he said to the girl. "Yes, sir," she whispered. She cleaned the floor with burning cheeks, every movement slow and careful. She felt the daughter's eyes on her like a blade. She felt the son's guilt like a weight. When she finished, she bowed slightly and went back to work, even though her hands would not stop shaking. That night would replay in her head for years. Months earlier, she had landed in Korea with hope buzzing in her ears. The scholarship letter felt unreal even as she folded it into her bag. Back home, neighbors hugged her and called her lucky. Her mother cried and said, "Endure everything. This is your future." She promised she would. On her first day of class, she learned how heavy silence could be. Students stared. A girl whispered something and laughed. A boy asked if she spoke English properly or if she learned it from movies. She smiled and answered politely. When the professor read attendance, he paused at her name, tried twice, then waved his hand. "You," he said. The class laughed softly. Her face burned. She told herself it did not matter. Money became a problem fast. The scholarship covered school, not living. She ate noodles. She skipped meals. When another international student mentioned a restaurant job, she took it without questions. The pay was low. The hours were long. She told herself it was temporary. The first time she saw the owner, she felt something tighten inside her. He spoke softly, but the room bent around him. Men bowed. Women smiled too quickly. He barely acknowledged her. That suited her fine. The daughter, on the other hand, noticed her at once. "You," the daughter said on her first shift. "What's your name?" She answered. "That's hard to say," the daughter replied. "I'll call you something easier." She laughed. Others laughed too. The girl forced a smile. Days turned into weeks. Mistakes were magnified. Silence was punished. The daughter corrected her pronunciation in front of customers. "Say it again," she would demand. "No, not like that. You sound stupid." At night, the girl lay in bed and whispered to herself. Just finish school. Just survive. She counted days like beads. The owner's son first spoke to her when she dropped a fork. He picked it up and handed it back. "You're shaking," he said. "I'm fine," she replied. "You don't look fine." She did not answer. She focused on her work. Later that night, as she wiped tables, he asked, "Where are you from?" She told him. "Do you like it here?" She hesitated. "I like studying." He nodded. That wasn't the question. "I don't have to like it," she said. "I just have to finish." Something in her voice made him quiet. Their conversation stayed small. He asked about her classes. She asked about the menu. Once, he asked why she worked so late. She said, "Because rent doesn't care about feelings." He smiled at that. "You're strong." She looked at him then, really looked. "No," she said. "I'm careful." The daughter noticed the looks before anyone else. One evening, she blocked the girl near the storage room. "Don't get ideas," she said softly. "People like you forget your place." "I don't want trouble," the girl replied. "You are trouble." From that day, the tension thickened. The daughter found new ways to humiliate her. The girl endured. She told herself silence was safety. She was wrong. After the shattered plate, the owner called his son into his office. Voices were low. Doors stayed shut. When the son came out, his face looked older. He waited for the girl after her shift. "I shouldn't have stepped in," he said. "I made it worse." She hugged her arms. "Yes," she replied. "You did. I'm sorry." She looked at him, eyes wet but steady. "If you want to help me, don't look at me like that anymore." "Like what?" "Like I matter." He did not answer. From that moment, the daughter's hatred turned cold. The owner watched more closely. The girl felt the walls closing in. She began to understand that this was not just cruelty. This was power. And she was standing in its path without armor, without allies, holding on to a dream that suddenly felt very small. She went home that night and sat on her bed in the dark. She whispered, "I only wanted an education." Her voice broke. She did not know yet that wanting nothing had already cost her everything. Amina learned the names the way she learned everything else in Korea, quietly, carefully, storing them like tools she might need later. The owner was Kang Min-jae. People called him Chairman Kang when they wanted something. His daughter was Kang Soo-jin. His son was Kang Junho. Knowing their names did not make them safer. The morning after the shattered plate, Amina woke before her alarm. Her chest felt tight, like she had been running in her sleep. She lay still, staring at the ceiling of her tiny room, listening to the building wake up around her. Footsteps. Water pipes. A door slamming somewhere below. She pressed her palm to her sternum and whispered, "Calm down. Just breathe." Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. At school, the tension followed her. In class, Soo-jin's friend group sat 2 rows ahead and kept turning around. One of them leaned over and said loudly, "Is it true you work at that place? The gangster restaurant?" Laughter rippled. Amina kept her eyes on her notebook. Her pen shook. "Ignore it," she told herself. Finish the lecture. Leave. When class ended, Junho caught up with her outside. "Wait," he said. She stopped but did not turn around. "You shouldn't talk to me here. I wanted to check on you." "I'm fine." He sighed. "You don't have to lie." She faced him then, eyes sharp. "Yes, I do. Lying keeps me alive." He flinched. "That's not fair." "Neither is your family," she replied, then walked away before he could answer. At the restaurant that evening, Soo-jin was polite. Too polite. She smiled at customers. She praised Amina's work in a voice sweet enough to rot teeth. Amina knew better than to relax. Politeness from Soo-jin meant an audience was coming. It came near closing time. Soo-jin leaned against the counter and said, "Amina, the storage room is filthy. Clean it before you leave." "I cleaned it yesterday," Amina said. "Clean it again." Amina nodded. Inside the storage room, the air was cold and damp. She stacked boxes, wiped shelves, scrubbed stains that would never disappear. When she finished, Soo-jin stepped inside and closed the door behind her. "You think my brother likes you," Soo-jin said calmly. "I don't think about your brother. Don't insult me." Soo-jin moved closer. "Girls like you always think the same thing. That you can climb by being pitiful. I just work here. You exist here," Soo-jin snapped. "That's the problem." Amina's throat tightened. "I didn't choose this." "You chose to come," Soo-jin said. "You chose to stay." Amina met her eyes. "I chose to study." Soo-jin laughed. "Then study. Don't look at what isn't yours." That night, Amina could not sleep. She replayed every word, every look. She wondered how long endurance could last before it broke into something dangerous. Chairman Kang called her into his office 2 days later. The room smelled like expensive tea. He gestured for her to sit. You work hard, he said. Thank you, sir. My daughter says you are careless. I try my best. He studied her face. My son says you are honest. Her stomach dropped. I don't talk to him much. That would be wise, Chairman Kong replied. This place has rules. People who follow them stay safe. Yes, sir. People who forget them do not. Amina bowed. I understand. Outside, Junho waited. What did he say? She shook her head. Don't ask me questions you don't want answers to. I'm trying to protect you. She stopped walking. Then stop being near me. You think that will help? I know it will, she said. Your sister already hates me. Your father already watches me. If you keep this up, I will lose my job, my visa, everything. He ran a hand through his hair. I can't just pretend you don't exist. I do it every day, Amina replied. You'll survive. She thought that would end it. She was wrong. Sujin escalated quietly. Shifts were cut without notice. Tips went missing. Customers complained after being encouraged to. One man grabbed Amina's wrist and whispered something obscene. When she pulled away, Sujin shrugged. Maybe you misunderstood. Amina went home shaking. She called her mother for the first time in weeks. How are you? Her mother asked. I'm fine, Amina said, then broke. I'm tired. You must endure, her mother replied gently. You are almost there. Amina closed her eyes. I don't know how much more I can take. You're strong, her mother said. Amina whispered, I don't want to be strong. I just want to be safe. The next night, everything shifted again. A group of men came into the restaurant late. They spoke loudly, laughed harder than necessary. One of them stared at Amina too long. Another snapped his fingers at her. Sujin watched from the bar, amused. When one man reached out and touched Amina's waist, Junho moved fast. He grabbed the man's wrist. Don't touch her. The room froze. Let go, the man said. You heard me, Junho replied. Leave. Chairman Kong appeared like a shadow. He looked at the man, then at his son. Junho, he said softly. Come here. Junho obeyed. The men left without argument. Later, Chairman Kong spoke to his son behind closed doors. Amina heard muffled voices. When Junho emerged, his face was pale. Sujin approached Amina with a slow smile. You see, she said. You don't even have to do anything. You just exist and cause problems. Amina stared at her. Why do you hate me so much? Sujin leaned close. Because you make him look at something he can't have. And because you make me look at myself. Amina did not understand then, but fear settled deep in her bones. She sensed the story was no longer about work or school. It was about possession, control, and a line she had crossed without ever stepping forward. She walked home that night with tears on her face, knowing something irreversible had begun. Amina stopped feeling safe in small places first. It began with the elevator in her apartment building. She would stand alone, keys clenched between her fingers, listening too closely to every sound. When footsteps echoed behind her, her shoulders tensed. When the doors closed too slowly, her breath shortened. She told herself she was imagining things. Fear liked to pretend it was logic. At school, her professor returned an essay with a red mark across the top. Excellent analysis, he had written, then added, but you should consider choosing topics closer to your own culture. She stared at the sentence for a long time. Closer to your own culture. She wondered how far she would have to shrink to fit into the spaces people allowed her. Junho stopped pretending distance was working. One evening, he waited outside her building. When she saw him, she froze. You shouldn't be here, she said. I know. Then leave. I can't. She crossed her arms. You're making this worse. For you or for me? He asked. For both, she replied. Your sister wants me gone. Your father wants me invisible. You standing here makes me visible. He stepped closer. You think I don't see what they're doing to you? And what will you do? Amina asked. Protect me? Yes. She laughed once, sharp and bitter. From who? Your family. He didn't answer right away. I'll figure something out. That's not enough, she said. I don't have room for your figuring out. One mistake and I lose my visa. Then quit the job. With what money? She shot back. With what replacement? Silence stretched between them. I didn't ask for this, Amina said quietly. I didn't ask you to notice me. I didn't ask to care, Junho replied. She looked away. Caring is expensive. Inside the restaurant, Sujin watched them through the window. The next shift, Amina found her locker empty. Her apron was gone. Her name tag missing. When she asked the supervisor, he shrugged. Sujin said you didn't need it. She worked without it, feeling exposed. Customers asked if she was new. Sujin corrected her loudly when she took orders. No, not like that, she said, laughing. She struggles with pronunciation. Amina kept her mouth shut until it hurt. That night, Chairman Kong called a staff meeting. He stood at the front, hands clasped behind his back. This restaurant survives on loyalty, he said. Anyone who disrupts that will be removed. His eyes rested on Amina for half a second too long. After the meeting, Sujin cornered her near the sink. Did you hear that? She asked sweetly. He means you. Amina turned to face her. Why don't you just fire me? Sujin tilted her head. Where's the lesson in that? Amina's chest tightened. What do you want from me? I want you gone, Sujin said plainly. But not as a victim. As a failure. The words followed Amina home. She dreamed of falling. Not from a height, but from exhaustion. In the dream, she kept standing back up, only to be pushed again. The pressure bled into her classes. She missed a deadline. Her professor warned her. Another mistake would affect her standing. She sat in the bathroom afterward, head in her hands, whispering, "Hold it together." The breaking point came on a rainy night. The restaurant was busy. Orders stacked. Temper short. Sujin sent Amina back and forth unnecessarily. When Amina spilled soup after being shoved, Sujin snapped. Are you stupid? She shouted. Do you know how much that costs? I said I'm sorry, Amin. You should be careful, Sujin said one evening as Amina clocked out. People disappear here all the time. Amina looked at her. Is that a threat? Sujin shrugged. Advice. Amina walked home with her phone clutched tight, heart racing. She double-checked her door. She slept in her clothes. For the first time since arriving in Korea, she thought about leaving before finishing. The thought tasted like failure. She whispered into the dark, I didn't come this far to be erased. But erasure was exactly what they were attempting. Quietly. Methodically. And Amina was beginning to understand that surviving this would require more than endurance. It would require a choice she had been avoiding since the first day she learned how dangerous silence could be. Amina realized something was wrong the moment her card stopped working at the subway gate. She tapped it again. Red light. She tried a third time, heat rushing to her face as people piled up behind her. A station attendant waved her aside. Insufficient balance, he said. She checked her phone. Her account balance was lower than it should have been. Much lower. Her hands trembled as she stepped outside. The air felt sharper that morning. She called the bank. They said nothing was wrong. She checked her wallet. Her last cash was gone. She replayed the night before in her head. She had not gone anywhere. She had not bought anything. She had only gone home. At school, she tried to focus. The words on the board blurred. During break, an email notification appeared. Subject line. Scholarship review notice. Her stomach dropped. She opened it with shaking fingers. Routine verification, it said. Missing documentation. Failure to comply may result in suspension. This is not routine, she whispered. She called the scholarship office. They told her to come in the next day. No explanation. No reassurance. When she arrived at the restaurant that evening, the atmosphere had shifted. Conversations stopped when she entered. The supervisor avoided her eyes. Sujin stood behind the counter, smiling. You're late, Sujin said. I'm on time, Amina replied. Check the schedule, Sujin said. Amina walked to the back. Her name was gone. She stood there for a long moment, staring at the empty space where it used to be. I'm scheduled tonight, she said when she returned. Sujin shrugged. Not anymore. You can't just remove me without notice. Sujin leaned forward. Watch me. Amina's voice shook. I need this job. Sujin's smile widened. That sounds like a personal problem. Junho appeared from the kitchen. What's going on? She's not scheduled, Sujin replied smoothly. She's been causing stress among staff. That's not true, Amina said. Chairman Kang walked in before Junho could respond. His eyes moved between them. Go home, he said to Amina. Sir, she began. I said go home. She bowed stiffly and turned away, heart pounding. As she stepped outside, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You should know when to leave. She stared at the screen, breath shallow. Another message followed. People who don't listen get hurt. She walked home in a daze. That night, someone knocked on her door. She froze. The knock came again. Calm. Patient. She peered through the peephole. Junho stood there, soaked from the rain. You shouldn't be here, she said through the door. I know, he replied. Please open it. She hesitated, then unlocked the door. He stepped inside, eyes scanning the room like it might disappear. They're targeting you, he said. I know, Amina replied flatly. My father froze your shifts. Sujin reported you to the school. Amina's knees buckled. She sat on the bed. Why? Because you spoke back. She laughed softly. So that's all it takes. Junho knelt in front of her. You have to leave the restaurant. I'll help you find something else. They won't let me, she said. This isn't about the job anymore. They're closing doors. I'll talk to my father. No, Amina snapped. You don't fix this. You make it worse. Silence filled the room. Then what do you want me to do? He asked quietly. She met his eyes. Choose. He swallowed. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair, she replied. But you can't stand in the middle anymore. He stayed silent too long. The next day, Amina went to the scholarship office. The woman behind the desk flipped through her file. There have been concerns raised about your conduct, she said. What conduct? Amina asked. Reports of instability. Conflict at your workplace. That has nothing to do with my studies. It reflects character, the woman replied. Amina felt heat rise in her chest. Someone is trying to sabotage me. The woman sighed. Do you have proof? Amina opened her mouth. Closed it. Proof required power. She had none. We'll review this, the woman said. For now, continue your classes. Outside, Amina leaned against the wall and slid to the ground. Tears came fast, hot, and unstoppable. She whispered, I didn't come here for this. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Last warning. That evening, she returned home to find her door unlocked. Her breath caught. Inside, her room was disturbed. Drawers open. Papers scattered. Her passport lay on the bed. Her visa page was gone. She sank to the floor, shaking. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Her phone rang. Junho. They crossed a line, he said when she answered. They took my visa, she sobbed. Silence. Then I'll fix it. You can't, she replied. This is your family. I don't care anymore, he said. She wiped her face. I do. That night, Amina made a decision. She packed what she could. She hid what mattered. She backed up documents. She sent emails to everyone who might listen. She did not sleep. At dawn, she left her apartment, unsure where she was going, only knowing she could not stay still anymore. Somewhere behind her, Kang Soo-jin smiled, believing she had won. She was wrong. Because desperation sharpens people. And Amina was no longer afraid of breaking. She had already lost everything they could take. Amina spent the next 2 days moving like a ghost between offices that smiled politely and promised nothing. International student support told her to stay calm. The visa desk told her missing documents were serious. A legal aid clinic told her appointments were booked for weeks. Everyone listened. No one acted. On the 3rd day, exhaustion caught up with her in the library. She sat between shelves, head bowed, eyes burning, whispering to herself, think, think. Panic would finish what they started if she let it. Her phone buzzed. Junho. She stared at his name for a long moment, then answered. I found something, he said. You shouldn't be calling me, she replied. I know, he said. But listen. My sister didn't just report you. She had someone pull your records. She's trying to create a pattern. Amina closed her eyes. A pattern of what? Instability, he said. Unreliable employment. Conflict. Visa risk. So she wants the system to erase me, Amina said. Yes. A pause. There's more, Junho added. My father approved it. The words landed heavy. Amina pressed her knuckles to her lips to keep from crying. Thank you for telling me the truth. I'm not done, he said quickly. I took copies of everything. Her breath caught. You what? Schedules. Internal complaints. Messages. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. Amina stood up too fast, dizzy. If they find out, they will, he said. Eventually. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because I can't unsee it anymore, he replied. And because you were right. Standing in the middle is still choosing. She said nothing for a moment. Then, softly, this will cost you. I know. That night, they met in a quiet park near campus. The city hummed around them, indifferent. Junho handed her a flash drive. Everything I could get, he said, including the message Sujin sent to the scholarship office. Amina stared at the small piece of plastic like it might explode. This could save me. It could also make things worse, he said. Once you use it, there's no going back. She nodded. There hasn't been for a while. They sat on a bench, not touching. Distance felt safer. My father won't stop, Junho said. He believes control is order. And your sister? Amina asked. She believes attention is love, he replied. And she's losing both. Amina swallowed. If I do this, they'll come for you. They already are, he said. I was warned. She looked at him, really looked. For the first time, she saw fear in his eyes. Not for her. For himself. You can still walk away, she said. So can you, he replied. They shared a small, tired smile. The next morning, Amina walked into the international office with a folder thick enough to feel solid in her hands. She asked to speak to a supervisor. When they tried to redirect her, she waited. When they delayed, she stayed. I have evidence, she said calmly when she was finally ushered in. Of harassment. Of falsified reports. Of intimidation. The supervisor frowned. This is a serious accusation. So is deportation, Amina replied. She laid everything out. Dates. Messages. Screenshots. Names. The room grew quiet. This involves powerful people, the supervisor said carefully. Amina met her eyes. So do I. I have a government scholarship. I have academic records. And I have proof. The supervisor asked for time. Amina left shaking, unsure if she had just saved herself or signed her own sentence. That evening, Sujin confronted Junho at the restaurant. You betrayed us, she said. I told the truth, he replied. She laughed, brittle. You think truth protects you? Chairman Kang appeared behind her. Go home, he said to Sujin. When she was gone, he faced his son. You have embarrassed me. Junho's joy tightened. You taught me to value strength. Chairman Kang's eyes hardened. Strength is loyalty. No, Junho said. Strength is choosing what's right when loyalty is wrong. The silence between them felt final. That night, Amina received an email. Scholarship status under review. Temporary protection granted pending investigation. Her knees buckled. She sat on the floor and cried, hands over her mouth, trying not to make a sound. Relief came tangled with terror. Protection was temporary. Retaliation was not. Her phone rang. Junho. They know, he said. Everything. What happens now? She asked. My father will push back, he replied. Hard. Amina wiped her face. Then I won't be alone. The next days were tense. Amina stayed visible. She attended classes. She met advisors. She documented everything. Fear still followed her, but it no longer led. One night, she found Sujin waiting outside her building. You think you won, Sujin said. Amina stopped a few steps away. This was never about winning. Sujin's eyes burned. You took something from me. I took nothing, Amina replied. You tried to take everything from me. You should have stayed silent. Amina's voice was steady. Silence is how this started. Sujin stepped back, anger flickering into uncertainty. For the first time, Amina saw it. Power without control was just fear with good clothes. She walked past Sujin and into her building, heart pounding but upright. Upstairs, she stood by her window and looked out at the city that had tried to swallow her. She whispered, "I'm still here." And somewhere across the city, lines were being drawn. Choices made. Consequences waiting. This was no longer about survival. It was about reckoning. The waiting almost broke her. Weeks passed without answers that felt complete. The investigation moved slowly, careful and quiet, the way institutions protect themselves when powerful names appear on paperwork. Amina learned patience the hard way. She learned how to sit in uncertainty without folding into it. She stopped hiding. She sat in the front row of her classes again. She raised her hand. When a professor mispronounced her name, she corrected him calmly. When classmates stared, she met their eyes. Some looked away. Some smiled back. It was enough. The restaurant faded from her life. Officially, she was placed on leave pending investigation. Unofficially, she never went back. Walking past the building for the last time, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders, as if the walls themselves no longer recognized her. The international office called her in one morning. The supervisor offered her a seat and a glass of water. "The investigation confirmed irregularities," she said. "Your scholarship remains intact. Your visa has been restored." Amina exhaled so hard her chest ached. "Thank you." "There will be consequences," the woman added. "For everyone involved." Amina nodded. "That's all I wanted." When she stepped outside, the sky looked wider than she remembered. She stood still for a long moment, letting the feeling settle. She was still here. And this time, she did not feel temporary. Junho met her later that day in the same park where everything had shifted. He looked tired, thinner somehow, but lighter too. "My father stepped down from public business," he said. "Internal restructuring." "And you?" Amina asked. "I left the restaurant," he replied. "I'm applying abroad." She smiled softly. "That's brave." He shook his head. "It's overdue." They walked in silence for a while. "I don't want you to feel like you owe me," he said eventually. "I don't," Amina replied. "But I won't forget that you chose." He nodded. "That's enough." They stopped at the edge of the path. "I care about you," he said. "I know," she replied. "I care too. But not like before," he added. Amina smiled. Not like before. They stood there, understanding without needing to touch. Love did not always need possession to be real. Life began to expand in small ways. Amina found a new job on campus. Quiet. Respectful. No shouting. No fear. She slept through the night for the first time in months. She called her mother and told her everything. "You endured," her mother said. "I did more than endure," Amina replied. "I spoke." Her mother laughed through tears. "I raised you well." Amina volunteered with the International Student Support Group. She listened to stories that sounded too familiar. She told her own when it helped. She learned that strength multiplied when shared. One afternoon, Sujin appeared in her thoughts for the last time. Not in anger. Not in fear. Just as a reminder of who Amina had been when she believed silence was safety. She released that version of herself gently. Graduation came faster than she expected. As she stood in her gown, name printed correctly in the program, she felt something settle deep inside her. Belonging was not something others granted. It was something she claimed. When her name was called, she walked across the stage with her head high. She did not look for anyone in the crowd. She did not need to. Later, she stood outside with friends she had chosen. Laughter filled the air. Cameras flashed. For once, she did not shrink from attention. She thought of the girl who arrived with one suitcase and too many rules. She wished she could tell her this. "You will survive. And then you will live." That evening, Amina returned to her apartment and packed for her next move. A new opportunity waited. A new country. A new chapter. This time, she did not whisper promises to herself. She trusted herself to keep them. As she turned off the lights and closed the door behind her, the city did not feel like a battlefield anymore. It felt like a place she had passed through. And she walked away taller, freer, and finally at peace. Enjoy stories like this? Like the video, share it, and subscribe for more.